So I'd like now to introduce Tim Lee. Tim is the CEO and founder of Veredictum.io, a technology startup using blockchain-based technologies to stop film and video piracy. Not privacy. He has an MBA, is a published author on corporate finance, and is a regular speaker, writer and trainer on the strategic applications of the blockchain. Over to you, Tim.
Okay. Everybody hear me? All right, excellent. Yes, thanks for the inviting me to come down to Adelaide today. It's great to be here, and looking forward to trying sharing some of the ideas that we're working with. Basically, this is the problem we're trying to solve. Piracy as an overall problem is major. I mean, film piracy alone is about $20 million for the US economy by itself, and that's from an old report from the MPAA. But it's actually extended way beyond just film piracy. Social media theft is now pandemic. And for example, 73% of the top 1,000 performing videos on Facebook were stolen from YouTube. This is a report that it's about 18 months old now or so, but or maybe just about 2 years old now or so, but it's highlighting how video theft is becoming a major problem. And there's also been a new paradigm shift. There's actually live piracy that's going on. This is the craziness of where it's at in terms of people are live streaming inside the cinemas in India at the moment. It is just getting crazy. And live streaming from TVs. You may have heard of the Mundine fight and the Green fight that happened in February, March time or so, where the guy Facebook lived it to 150,000 people free of charge. So this is becoming insane. Even live streaming from sports grounds is actually happening. So the rights are being lost by a lot of people in relation to things. So piracy is just getting worse. And for me, it's actually personal. I actually wrote and directed an award-winning feature film that won 6 awards on the International Film Festival circuit, got UK distribution, and we got pirated. So this is personal. So piracy it's a financial curse. I mean, whatever the stance, it is a financial curse. It's an ethical curse, and it's also a cultural curse, because the more that piracy actually happens, it actually means that people cannot make new movies. As part of what we're doing from a marketing perspective for our token sale, or ICO, that's coming up later this month, we interviewed an independent film director who directed The Legend of Ben Hall, which is coming out in the US on the 1st of August. 50% of all the downloads that he's had on the movie have been pirated. So from that point of view, he's in a frustrating situation. How can he make another movie? So what it means is we're in danger of actually just getting mass-produced. I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying it, but we're just going to get a lot of the mass-produced rubbish that just takes into account the occupational hazard of piracy. So from a cultural point of view, the quality of those edgy movies, those cultural movies, those movies that challenge just won't get made. And so we're just going to head towards the gutter. And that's not what I want. And so this is personal. It's a bit of a mission, and it's a big, big problem. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit the 2 core drivers of piracy, and those are the lack of easy access to content at a price point that's fair. And the second thing is a lack of effective deterrence and tracking. So what if we could actually give easier access to content at market-defined pricing, and we could actually improve the deterrence and trackability? Together, global theft and piracy would reduce, and this is what we're creating. We are developing a decentralized anti-piracy and distribution platform with our ambition to reduce global film and theft piracy by 80% over 10 years, because it's not going to happen a week on Tuesday. We know that. And with our token sale supporters, we can get there, we believe. So how will the blockchain technology be used? I'll just give you a little bit of tech, all right? Not super deep, just really top level. Basically, I mean, I've written a book called Down the Rabbit Hole, which looks at blockchain in plain English. And in that book, this is just a diagram from there, you'll see that there is a timestamp in every block that actually exists. Now, what that does, that defines at a moment in time that an event has happened. And that enables the idea of provenance that we've actually seen through a variety of the presentations so far. And equally, it's the ability of tokenizing assets. Now, how many of you have been to a casino in the past 3 months? Nobody. This is Adelaide, come on. All right, I mean, if you go to a casino, you're actually given a token. All right, now that token is not usable outside of the casino itself. It's only usable within the actual casino. Now, they're RFID chips and this type of thing, but that is a reflection of the cash that you've actually given. And so we essentially are becoming like shadow artists. I mean, they've got to be Star Wars fans. Tell me there are Star Wars fans. If you're a Star Wars fan, put your hand. I've got one. Any more? Right, we're alive. I thought I was boring and stupid for a second. Right, so clearly, all right, with the actual reflection, a shadow artist creates something interesting. Now, what happens if we change anything here, all right, in relation to the actual performance of the shadow? The actual shadow itself is going to change. Agreed? So just take that as a logic, all right? So the idea is the sculpture represents the original video file that we're actually tagging, for example. And the shadow actually represents the cryptographic hash, all right, that has been spoken about before. Okay, there's this thing, the SHA-256 is what somebody mentioned before. So a cryptographic hash, and you can open source this on Google. If you look up SHA-256 cryptography, you'll be able to actually cryptographically hash something, anything you like. And the idea is, if you change one pixel, or you change one full stop in a document, that shadow will change in the same way that if you just change one piece of that sculpture. So it's only one hash can represent one file at any given time. So using that technology, we're actually digitally fingerprinting videos to actually highlight the ownership and distribution rights relating to video. But the idea of actually trying to hunt for piracy, because this is a major problem as well as the distribution. It's a major, major problem. Centralized. If we wanted to hunt for pirated content, it's over an exabyte of data. Now, I had to look it up, what an exabyte of data was, when our CTO told me. All right, he just rattled off this thing. It's a billion gigabytes, so it's a lot of data. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to galvanize the creative community that is affected by the biggest problem that's going to influence their very existence, to help them be part of a community-based solution. So what we're doing, the first section is a decentralized global registry for content, with the idea that we have a distributed ledger, and the idea is that content producers will pay a fee to permanently register their video content and associated distribution rights. And we'll digitally fingerprint the videos with those ownership and distribution rights. The second part is a decentralized anti-piracy platform. Now, this is where it starts. It might get a little bit heavy and a bit more complex, but hang on in there. And it's the idea that the creative community become nodes of a community-based distributed network searching for pirated and stolen content. How many here have heard of SETI? The search, okay, good, we've got a few. It's the search for extraterrestrial intelligence in Berkeley University. Now what they do, they beam out information out into the universe, and they get all that data back. And what they do, rather than processing it centrally, they filter it out to around 3 million people around the world who process that data and then get it back to Berkeley. So what we're doing is we're becoming the SETI for pirated content. Are you with me so far? Okay, good. And the idea is that we incentivize those nodes to help find the pirated content. With Ventana, this is actually the cryptocurrency coin, the cryptocurrency token that we're launching in July. And Ventana is Spanish for Windows, and that's all linked into a broken window campaign that we're linking into. But I just want to focus on the tech because that's what you're here for. And the idea is, this is the way that generically it works, all right? That each node, that's the independent computer, uses their surplus computer power and bandwidth to help the collective search, usually off-peak. So if you think of creative guys, they've got very powerful computers, a lot of bandwidth, a lot of that's not being used. So it's the idea that collectively they search for the pirated content, and this is all programmatic, and once they actually find the pirated content, they will get rewarded with cryptocurrency coins. And in general terms, the more computer power and bandwidth that's actually made available, the more cryptocurrency coins will be generated. So the actual token itself is an intrinsic part of the platform. Now, if you think of traditional fiat currency, dollars, AUD, whatever it might be, If you're trying to give somebody 35 cents, it's almost impossible to do it by credit card to make it commercially viable, because the fixed charges that the credit card guys charge is around 35 cents. Cryptocurrencies, in theory, you can actually get down to 100 millionth of a Bitcoin, for example. Okay? And the idea is that the Ventana will actually be available because there are around 45 cryptocurrency exchanges worldwide that exchange cryptocurrencies for Bitcoin. Okay? This is where Bitcoin's becoming almost the reserve currency of, it's almost becoming the reserve currency. So it's the idea that you can exchange at the global exchanges. And the idea is that people actually will be incentivized and rewarded, and it means that we can just enable this to happen globally. The other element that we're keen to sort of look at as well is that we're making the majority of the areas of the platform to be open source, so that others in the creative industry can actually focus on other developments for music, photography, artworks, whatever it might be, so that others can actually develop on top of it to help the collective cause to stop piracy. And this is the final part of the equation, where we have a decentralized distribution marketplace. We are looking towards enveloping around this structure a marketplace that actually enables white hat peer-to-peer distribution to happen. So if you think of BitTorrenting, where people download a movie, and I'm sure your kids maybe download movies. Oh, there's an embarrassed laugh there. Okay, that's right. You can feel guilty. That's all right. I don't mind. But it's the idea that because we've got an anti-piracy advocacy, we can then flip that into white hat peer-to-peer distribution. And again, they'll be incentivized by Ventana, the cryptocurrency, for making available that bandwidth and the actual computer power. And the idea is we want to actually create a distribution structure where the content producers actually deal directly with the key influencers. How many people have heard of influencer marketing? Okay, a few. And how many are actually working in that space? Many? No, okay, all right. But it's the idea that if you think of that mundane fight, the green fight, where the guy Facebook lived it to 150,000 people, imagine that there was a Twitter, a major Twitter account that had maybe 1 million boxing fans. And so say to the content producer, okay, let's corral that audience together, and instead of you charging $60 a head to watch it, charge us $10. How many of those 150,000 people would have paid $10? Probably a lot. Not all of them, but probably a lot. And so it's the idea, we want to create a marketplace bringing these two parties together, but using the actual distribution and anti-piracy platform that we're actually creating. So the idea is that it's a blended solution to give people access to content when they want, how they want, at a price point that's fair, and having improved deterrence, which over time will reduce piracy. It won't reduce it a week on Tuesday, as I said, but over time. And the idea is that it's a performance-related structure for the content producers, because if they don't like the price, they don't sell it. There's no marketing, the influencers have already got it. So the content producer, the actual influencer, I hate the cliche of the Uber for this and the Uber for that, but it actually fitted into the square, so please forgive me that little bit of indulgence. But it's the idea, it's a performance-related structure. And so what we're after to try and get sort of further traction, I mean, we've been talking to the film industry, we've been talking to YouTubers, we're interested in talking to anybody that's interested in trying to help us on this journey. This is a major, we know it's a major project, but having experienced it firsthand and having seen how hard 116 people who worked on our film worked, to see that the actual content was valued at less than nothing. As a film producer and writer and a creative person, that is soul-destroying, and that's being replicated around the world. So we are launching a token sale at Rise Conference in July. We're launching our white paper on the 11th of July. Our core target raise is about $7.5 million US. We do have stretch targets associated with that. But it's very much trying to bring the community together to solve the problem that the community has, and leveraging cryptocurrencies to actually enable incentivization to achieve that goal. And that is the anti-piracy on the blockchain.
Thank you very much, Tim.